Mosey Tutoring. You plus us equals learning. Alright, so in this particular video I'm going to go through some of the other elements that are found in your tutor page. So again, in order for a student to schedule a session with any particular tutor, they have to go through 3 steps. Alright, now the first step is that they have to check out your availability, which is going to be done through Doodle. The student would then have to complete a tutor request form, right? Once they complete that tutor request form, you will be aware of that student, their phone number, their contact information, and the times they want to meet up with you, right? So once a student comes on your tutor page, they will have to check your availability, and they'll be able to see this availability through the Doodle, right? We'll get into how to set up the Doodle in a later video, but they will see your availability on a Doodle, and they will actually check off the times they want on that Doodle, right? Then after they do that, then in step 2, those students have to complete a tutor request form. Once they complete that tutor request form, right, you are going to be able to see that this student, John Doe, wants to meet up with me at this time, and you will have their contact information. Now that tutor request form will be sent to your email, so you would know that this student wants a tutoring session. Now you would also know that that student wants a tutoring session as well through your Doodle, so it's going to be a way of double checking, right? So once they look at your availability, check off the times they want, they will complete a tutor request form, right? You will receive that tutor request form. Now what you have to do as a tutor is that you have to cross-check, right? Cross-check the time that is on the Doodle with the time they put on the tutor request form to make sure they match, because students can make mistakes. Then what the student will do finally is that they will pay for the tutoring session or the tutoring sessions, right? So those are the steps. All right, and I want to emphasize again, right? You want to make sure that when the student does pay for a session, they're paying on your page, not another tutor's page, right? This is important for us to know how much the students are paying you and how much you're going to make. It's really important in that calculation. So you have to make sure the students are paying on your page. All right, so going into in really fast on step 1. So step 1 is accessing the availability. Again, this is going to be done through Doodle, right? So students are going to be able to see your availability throughout the week through the Doodle. So once the students hit this button here, they'll be taken to your Doodle page, and the students have to type in their name, hyphen course, hyphen professor, and this little star sign if they're willing to do a combined session. For example, David, Organic 1, and the professor will be Kachik, and then star if they want to do a combined session. Now this is really important that they have this star here, because you want to be able to know if a student is willing to do a combined session, right? So that if another student goes on the Doodle, they can see, hey, this student is in Organic 1 and they have the same professor that I have. I want to do a combined session with them, so they can then just take off on the same time that that student is meeting up with you, so you would have 2 students meeting up with you at the same time. All right, so once the students come on your Doodle page, they'll type in their name, the course, the professor, and a little star sign here, which indicates that they want to do a combined session. Now they will select the times that they want, and they're gonna hit save. The save is gonna be all the way to the far right. All right, so now I'm gonna show you an example by hitting this button. All right, so here this is my Doodle page. So this is a poll that I created. So I have here all the times that I am available to tutor students, right? These are all the times that I'm available to tutor students. So once a student comes to this page, they will see your availability. It's going to be clear, right? So the student would check off the times that they want, right? And they would have the ability to enter in this information here that I just talked about, right? Their name, the course, the professor, and star, right? And once they do that, they will check off the times that they want, and then all the way at the far right hand side there's a save button. The student has to hit the save button, unless it will not their information will not be recorded. So that's really important. All right, so again, we're going to show you how to set up this doodle page in a later video. All right, so now it's really important that you make sure that the students are putting in this information correctly, so other students can know that this person is willing to do a combined session. You can have students that don't want to do combined sessions at all. All right, those students should not put this little star there. All right, but then you might have students that always want to have combined sessions, so they would have to put this star there so that other students know that they want to have combined sessions. Right. All right, so this is just an overview of the doodle. All right, now going down to step 2, the tutor request form. All right, so reading the instructions, so this form is to be completed by all students prior to a tutoring session. However, students that indicate in the form that they want a fixed tutoring schedule are free from filling out this form again until the expiration of their fixed session. In the case of requesting tutoring for a different course, this form is to be completed again. All right, so remember, the first step is that the student looks at your doodle availability, they type in their name, they check out the time that they want, and they hit save. All right, now they have to go to the second step, which is to fill out a tutoring request form. All right, now all this tutoring request form is it's just a reconfirmation for the times that the student has selected. All right, and it's also going to be a way that you're going to be able to directly contact that student. All right, so without this form, if the student does not fill out this form, you will not be able to contact the student. So this form is really important. So once the student fills out this form, right, they'll put their name, their number, their email address, your name, the tutor's name, the course, the professor, the times they want, which, like the time that they selected on the doodle. Now once the student fills out this information is going to be forwarded to your email. Now what you have to do is you have to confirm, right? So once the student goes to your doodle and hits save, you will receive an email. Once the student fills out this tutoring request form and hits submit, you will receive an email. All right, we're gonna configure this for you guys, but you're gonna receive two kinds of email. Now you have to check to make sure these guys are matching. All right, it doesn't take that long to check. All right, just make sure that whatever time the student checked off matches with the time that so whatever time they checked off on the doodle, make sure that it matches with the time on the tutoring request form, the time that they will indicate below here. All right, you want to also make sure that the student is not signing up for a combined session, right? Whereas there's no student present, right? So if there's no student present, they should not sign up for a combined session. All right, so just really fast, I'll go back to this doodle again so I can show you how you would know if a student should do a combined session. So in this case here, I have one student signed up to meet with me on Sunday the 26th, right? Now if I have another check mark here, so if I'm another student and I come in here and I type in my name and I check off at this same time, then I would be indicating that I want to do a combined session with the student above me from 4 to 5 p.m. right? So this is how you know if a student this is how you know if a combined session should be checked off, right, or not. All right, so students should not be hitting this combined session if there's no other student, right, that has already picked that time. They have to hit individual tutoring. All right, so this is very straightforward. They look at your doodle for the availability, check off the times they want, hit submit, fill out this tutoring request form so that you would know the times again as a way to reconfirm, so the students don't make a mistake. Once they check this stuff, once they check it off, they hit submit, it will be forwarded to your email, and then the student will then proceed to pay. All right, so we accept PayPal, debit cards, and credit cards. Now this form is really short. All the student needs is their name and your name as a tutor. This information is going to help us, again, identifying which tutor is getting paid. All right, maybe let's say, for example, an error occurs and the student is not paying on your page and pays on another tutor's page. Now we can tell from here, right, that you are the one that actually conducted that tutoring session, right? So it's important that a student pays on your page, right, and then puts your name here. All right, so that this is 2 levels of confirmation to us, so we know which tutor conducted the session and which tutor should get paid. All right, so the student types in, puts in their name here, puts in the tutor's name here, and they would select the kind of session, right? So if it's just an individual session, they will hit an individual session, which is $26, right, per an hour, and they will put the number of hours that they want to have the individual session. Or if they were just doing a combined session, right, then they would hit this, and it's $21 for a combined session. Now we have 2 kinds of combined sessions, right? First kind of combined session is where it's you the tutor, and there's going to be 2 other students. All right, so the first type of combined session is where there are 2 students and the tutor. All right, each student is going to be paying $21 an hour. All right, so if the student wants this kind of combined session, they will hit this check mark, they will hit the number of hours, and it will be calculated in the total down here. All right, it's going to be calculated in the total down here. And now the other kind of combined session is where it's the tutor, and there's where there's a tutor, the tutor, or 3 or more students. All right, 3 or more students. So this would actually be 2 students and another student, so that's three or more students, right? Okay, so now each student is going to be paying $16 an hour for this particular session. All right, and here they will indicate the number of hours of this particular session that they had scheduled for. Okay, so now down here we have another selection that can be made, that's called unequivalent / discounted payments. Okay, now the reason for this is in the case where let's say, for example, now you're doing a combined session with 3 people. Now the first person that pays is going to pay as an individual tutoring session. They're going to pay for an individual tutoring session, which is $26. The second person that pays is going to pay as a combined session, which is $21, right? Now the third person that signs up for that same session is going to pay as a combined session with 3 or more students, right? So they're going to pay $16 an hour. Now, but all of those students, all those 3 students were supposed to pay $16 an hour, right? So what we do is we reimburse those students for that money, right? So that first student paid 26, the second one paid 21, and the third one paid 16, but all of those students were supposed to pay 16. So what we do is we reimburse them that money in the form of a discounted price for the next tutoring session. All right, so we reimburse some of that money in the form of a discounted price for the next tutoring session. So instead of going here to pay for the next tutoring session, that student would then go here to pay for their next tutoring session. And so if they were paying for an individual session, then it would be the difference, right? So it would be, in this case, so the student would actually just pay $16 for the next individual tutoring session, right? Which is just a difference, right? So this is how we're going to be reimbursing the students. All right. If you guys have any questions on this, just you guys can contact us so we can kind of educate you guys more on this. All right. So I'm just gonna mention something else on the tutoring request form. So one the students can pick one of three options, all right, for a tutoring session. They can pick one of three options, and so the first option is they can do an individual tutoring session where it's just you and that student, or a combined session where there's two students and the tutor, or a different type of combined session where there's three or more students and the tutor. Now we also have the scheduled duration. So if it's just a one-time tutoring, so the student only is doing this for just a particular day, all right, so they're just getting tutoring from you for just a particular day, then they will hit one-time tutoring, all right, and that would suffice. Now if they wanted tutoring for 2 weeks, right, fixed at that particular time, they would hit this button, 2 weeks. Or if they wanted to fix that particular time that they have selected for the next 4 or 1 month or the entire semester, they would hit this button. Okay, so now all this information that the students are going to fill out and complete, all this information is it's going to be sent to you, the tutor, by email. So once you look at the email, you would be able to see that this student wants an individual session and they want it at this time for the rest of the semester. All right. Now, as a tutor, it is your responsibility to look through these tutoring request forms and to know who is demanding for a fixed tutoring schedule. So what's going to happen is that once you're constructing your doodle, all right, once you're constructing your doodle, you have to take into account that some students want fixed they want fixed tutoring times. So what that means is that you have to make sure that those times are not available to other students. All right, so you have to make sure that those times are not available to other students. And there are several ways you can do this. One way you can do this is just to autofill those times, and just on the doodle by yourself, you can autofill those times and just state that you can just type in that student's name and just check it and on the doodle, or you can just leave those time slots blank. All right, so that would be all for this portion.
Mosey Tutoring. You plus us equals learning.